Hello everybody, welcome back. 10-minute reviews. Jason here bringing you today's book, and I'm sure the fuzzy one, my co-star Freya, will be attacking me like a fur missile at some point soon. As always guys, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Again, small family channel, me, a fuzzy dog, my wife. We just love to talk about books. Reading's what we do, books are what we do, books are our greatest passion. I think more people should be reading for fun, which is why we try and talk about fun books. So we definitely appreciate any support you guys might want to give us. We're going to keep doing this anyway, though. So today I want to talk about an author that I've talked about many, many, many times in the past. I've been making an effort to go back through and reread all of his books that I've got or that I can come across. Quick, easy reads. So I want to talk about Louis Lamour and his book, Shalako. This one was pretty interesting. It's got a couple elements that fit in with typical Louis Lamour stuff. Obviously, guys, I'm not going to do the usual 4 categories because, you know, the world, we already know what that is. Clearly, I'm going to talk about the character and the plot and the writing style. Well, it's Louis Lamour. But there's a few of the common elements that occur with Louis Lamour, such as, you know, the I won't call it a love interest because there's usually not a whole lot of romance in his books. The characters just always seem to be around each other. You know, the tough, stoic, quiet main character, and you know the woman that gradually learns that she's, you know, a very Western type of woman, and they barely talk to each other. There's very little dialogue, and then they ride off in the sunset together. That's kind of like all of Louis L'Amour's books. If there's a female character in it, it's interesting. I'll put it that way. It's interesting. But outside of that, you know, a lot of the Louis L'Amour tropes that might come up in a lot of his books actually aren't in this one yet. This was a fascinating book. This was a lot of fun. Shalako is a whole bunch of fun. So, main character, Shalako Carlin, he's a little bit of everything. And we learn more about his life throughout the book. He's actually spent time in Europe. He's spent time in the military, U.S. military, foreign military. He's been everything from enlisted to a colonel. He's been buffalo hunter, a miner, a cowboy. He's been a little bit of everything, and he's just a Western drifter in a way. California, Arizona, Nevada. That's just kind of his thing. That's his thing. That's where he lives. That's where he prefers to live. That's where he wants to live. And you know, he prefers the deserts and the barren country. He spent time with Indians. He lived with Indians. Grew up with Indians. He's kind of a prototypical Louis L'Amour character. Tough, knowledgeable, man of few words. Doesn't put up with a whole lot of guff. So he ends up running into in his travels. He runs into a European group, basically. You get a like some French general, I believe it was, and some other European nobility, and some of their wives or girlfriends. They're out traveling, and this French general, this young kid, he thinks that fighting Indians would be fun, and that he'll just roll right over them and prove the incompetence of Americans. So he goes out basically into Indian country while there's a great Indian war chief rolling around through that area stirring up trouble. And this guy goes out with basically 8 people and some women, and 4 women. That's it. And of course he's screwed. And Shalako runs into them. Well, first he stumbles across the dead body of one of their scouts, and then he stumbles across one of the women, guides her back to the little camp, and he tells them they're screwed, that the Indians are right there. In fact, he has to shoot an Indian right outside their camp. That the Indians are there, and they're all going to die if they don't move. Well, none of them decide to get moving, so he rides on out. Naturally, he gets himself roped into it, and that's what ends up being so fascinating about this book. He gets himself roped into it, But Louis Lamour really writes his characters well, and they actually have some character growth, and the characters surprise you. A lot of times he'll write these non-Western characters as just fools, as just idiots that are, you know, so non-Western and foppish or stupid and hopeless and just utterly worthless. And while there are one or two characters like that, in fact, the most worthless characters that show up in this book are actually Western. Actually, Western characters. I'll get this one gunfighter that shows up, and a few others. Whereas some of these European characters, they experience quite a lot of growth. They experience quite a lot of growth throughout the book, and this book is different in that it doesn't have any gunfights, no quick draws, no fast draws. For all we know, Shalako might be the fastest draw in the West. We have absolutely no clue, because at no point does he end up getting in any kind of quick draw contest, even though it looks like it hints that it may happen a couple of times with that, you know, utter scumbag gunfighter that's there, that shows up in this book. This is mostly a book about survival and people, really. I mean, there's not that much action. Louis Lamour books aren't huge on action to begin with, but they usually have quite a bit of it in it. And there is some, for sure. There's definitely some. But it's much more about the interactions of the people between Shalako and the group, and their learning, his learning, plus, you know, the army that steps into things to try and help out. It's interesting. It's fascinating. I would consider Shalako to be one of my top 10 favorite Louis Lamour books. Absolutely. So if you guys like Westerns, if you guys like Louis Lamour, or you're just looking for quick, fun, interesting reads, always check out Louis Lamour, because his books are short about 100 something pages, pretty big font, quick, easy reads. They're the exact kind of book that you would just want to throw in your pocket, throw in your purse while you're running errands, or you got to go, you know, you got to go to some appointments, or you're going to be waiting around waiting rooms, or you know, waiting for the appointments, stuff like that. It's the exact kind of book that you want. It's the exact kind of book you'd be keeping in your car, or again, throw in your pocket to read on your breaks at work. Quick, easy read, fun, entertaining, gripping. I mean, what else can I say? It's Louis Lamour. Check it out, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will catch you guys next time. Bye now.